We're going to talk a little bit more about how the holographic medbeds work today. Holographic projection waves, sometimes referred to as bioholography or wave genetics, refer to the study of DNA and cellular structures being influenced or repaired through electromagnetic, acoustic, or laser-based wave patterns that encode genetic information holographically. Bear with me, guys, because I'm still trying to wrap my head about this because this is really earth-shattering for mankind. This is the switch to non-invasive tissue regeneration, disease reversal, and enhanced healing by projecting healthy genetic blueprints onto damaged biological systems. There's been quite a bit of pioneering work in this area dating to the late 20th century, which blended quantum physics, holography, and molecular biology. Despite promising preliminary experiments, the technology has seen limited interest in mainstream medical communities, and holographic innovators are painted as fringe or conspiracy. I want to know why such earth-shattering evidence was dismissed by taking a look at key historical events, innovators, and documented patterns that suggest institutional suppression. We'll do this by drawing on declassified materials, scientific records, and regulatory actions. These patterns of suppression include funding withdrawals, journal rejections, device seizures, and untimely researcher deaths, often coinciding with breakthroughs that challenge the pharmaceutical or medical matrix. Research into holographic energy healing emerged in the 1970s to 1980s, influenced by quantum holography theories from physicists like David Bohm and early laser experiments on DNA. I've linked a critical declassified CIA document from 1983, titled Analysis and Assessment of Gateway Process. This CIA report explicitly explores bioholography as a means to transcend physical limitations through a sound modulation known as hemisync for hemispheric synchronization and energy field manipulation. The report describes how human consciousness interacts with a holographic universe via toroidal energy fields for potential healing. It does this by accessing what's called universal genetic matrices. This is discussed in the video that I did on the morphogenic field and crystalline matrix, which will be linked. Just so you know, guys, there's going to be lots of links in the video descriptions, with supporting evidence and related videos, so I encourage you to do the research yourself until you have the answers that you need. The linked CIA report was commissioned under the Stargate project, which was a $20 million United States Army program investigating parapsychology and remote viewing. The document confirms early government knowledge of wave-based healing's implications for health and intelligence applications. Stargate was abruptly terminated in 1995, with its findings classified or dismissed as unreliable, despite internal memos acknowledging the validity of holographic models for bioenergy transfer. Similar Soviet research, which was declassified after 1991, provides further evidence of government awareness and suppression of the efficacy of the holographic technology. Russian physicist Peter Gariaev's team at the Institute of Control Sciences demonstrated in experiments where a laser light was shown on DNA. After the DNA was removed, the light pattern kept going, like a ghost image, for weeks. This invisible light memory appears to also affect living cells far away, as if the DNA was still there. Think of it like a hologram of the DNA that stays in the air and keeps working even when the original is gone. This suggests that the healing process continues even after leaving the medbed, with improvements increasing over the following weeks as the body completes the repair process. These findings were published in state journals like New Medical Technologies and suggested that holographic waves could reprogram DNA for regeneration, with applications in diabetes reversal and tumor suppression. United States intelligence summaries are available through the CIA's CREST database, which reference similar wave concepts as potential breakthroughs. Again, no trials or funding for studies followed. Instead, after the war, funding for such research disappeared as resources were redirected to biochemical gene editing, like CRISPR. That's because they moved all the Nazis over to us in Operation Paperclip. A video about that will also be linked. Several researchers demonstrated the validity of holographic wave healing and faced coordinated obstruction. Nikola Tesla developed resonant frequency devices to harmonize cellular vibrations for tissue repair. Tesla viewed the body as an electrical hologram. An 1895 lab fire destroyed his prototypes, and after his death in 1943, the FBI seized 80 trunks of papers under the Alien Property Act, many never released. His patents were suppressed until declassification in the 2010s. Royal Raymond Rife invented beam ray devices using precise frequencies to weaken pathogens holographically. According to 1934 clinical logs, he achieved 100% remission in terminal cancer cases. 1939, AMA and FDA raids destroyed his equipment and records, and a 1944 court injunction banned his devices as fraudulent. Rife died impoverished after repeated harassment. George Lakhovsky created multi-wave oscillators emitting broad-spectrum electromagnetic waves to restore cellular vibrations, which shrunk tumors in clinical trials. In 1942, he died in a New York hit-and-run accident after allegedly being exiled by the Nazis. He claimed that the U.S. Patent Office delayed his approvals, and his devices were later labeled as quackery by the American Medical Association. Wilhelm Reich built what he called Orgone accumulators to concentrate life energy fields for cancer remission, with his 1940 studies showing significant tumor reduction. An FDA injunction in 1954 led to burnings of his books and destruction of his organ accumulators. Reich was imprisoned for contempt and died in a federal prison of heart failure 1 week before his parole. Robert O. Becker demonstrated that salamanders naturally regenerate full limbs after amputation, driven by bioelectric currents of injury that shift the tissue voltage and trigger cells to revert to a stem cell-like state. He enhanced this with applied negative potentials and showed they could also regrow heart muscle. In humans, he didn't grow full limbs, but he successfully healed non-union fractures using electrical stimulation, which is now standard patented methods. In the 1980s, there were military library bans on Becker's book titled The Bioelectric. He died in 2008 from a carbon monoxide accidental death. Lesser-known figures faced similar fates. Antoine Prioré's plasma magnetic devices cured rat tumors in French government trials, but were defunded in 1979, and his lab was sealed. Hulda Clark's frequency zappers for parasite and DNA clearing led to a 2009 death in Mexican custody, and his autopsy was sealed with FDA device seizures. Eugene Malov, who advocated cold fusion energy healing ties, was beaten to death in 2004 by an alleged robber, but his wallet was untouched. There's government documents indicating that they had knowledge of this incredible revelation and never openly explored it. Declassified records reveal U.S. and allied governments have both explored holographic waves for healing and espionage, but they halted public development. CIA Stargate files contain over 12,000 pages, which detail bioholographic training for energy healing in remote viewing. The 1983 Gateway Report models DNA as a wave projector for interdimensional repair. There were no follow-up medical trials, and the program was shut down citing national security risks. I want you to understand that it's not just industry or big pharma that has suppressed medbeds. It's our very own governments. Over the coming months, you're going to see an ongoing theme of government involvement with crimes such as human trafficking, theft of government funds, and much worse, so get ready. The DARPA bioelectronics reports revealed early memos on electromagnetic holography for neural regeneration, but they later shifted their research to invasive implants after 1990, per OpenNet declassifications. Then there's Russian declassifications where Gariaev's Phantom DNA experiments were funded until 2009, when Academy intervention cited ideological threats to biochemical standards. A 2007 DNA Decipher Journal article documents suppressed holographic transfers in lab samples. The documents show consistent feasibility evidence, but no Phase 1 trials have been conducted. The potential for the loss of $4 trillion in annual global healthcare revenue with this energy regeneration is likely the reason studies have been thwarted, but it goes deeper than money. So as we close this exploration, one question remains. If these technologies hold so much power to heal without drugs or surgery by regrowing organs, reversing disease, and restoring the body's natural blueprint, why have they been buried in archives and forgotten labs? The evidence is there in patents, declassified files, and the silenced voices of brilliant minds. I think most people know but still have a hard time believing that world leaders would keep such technology from us. How many have suffered from the pollution of our perfect DNA by environmental toxins, and why have governments not only refused to research holographic projection healing, but actually suppressed this miraculous healing potential? I know the answer, but I must leave this observation for you guys in the comments. Let's see who knows the answer. Until next time, we're gonna keep poking this hornet's nest until all is revealed.